What's up, everyone? Thralls here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have an album review for you. Yet another one that was pretty well anticipated, and I have to say I was anticipating it just because of everything that kind of was surrounding this album. The new album from Nervosa, Perpetual Chaos. This came out on the 22nd of January on Napalm Records. This band formed in 2010 in Sao Paulo, but this is more of an international band now. This is their fourth full length, and well, here's the big change, and it was a big change. Every member of this band, except for guitarist Prika Amaral, left in 2020, and this is pretty much their, I don't know, I guess you'd say forging a new sound, but still retaining the elements of their old sound.
I like it. I like it.
I like it a lot. And Prika recruited some top-tier talent, I would have to say. She got Mia Wallace on bass, formerly of Abath, and I believe some other projects that I can't quite remember, but I definitely know she was there. She was on the second album. Drummer Eleni Nota, and she's from Greece. Mia's from Italy. And then singer Diva Satanica. Probably not a real name, but it's an awesome stage name. And she's from Spain, and the reason I know her is because she is the awesome singer that did death metal vocals on Spain's equivalent of The Voice here in America. And
Yep. That's
she did
right.
Marilyn Manson's
That's right.
Sweet Dreams, and all of a sudden she just shocked everyone with death metal vocals, and way to go.
I remember that. Yep.
That show needs
job.
death metal vocals. So, giant change, and this definitely represents a big change in their sound too. Now granted, I believe Prika said she wrote about 70% of this album, but the rest of it that kind of came together in the studio with the other members, and this is them embracing more of their death metal side. Now I only have their first album, and granted, that is very aggressive thrash, but it remains very much thrash metal. This is them sort of harking a balance between the two. I would say it's almost 50-50. Now, you don't quite get that from the opener, Venomous, but it's a great start-off point. It is fast.
Comes
it
out
is
swinging,
aggressive.
man. This whole record never loses pacing. Just comes out swimming. The drums are blazing. Goodness.
Chuggy guitars. I mean, they love some triplet chugs. Triplet chugs all over the place, and I love triplet chugs. So
I also love triplet chugs.
this got me going right away. Diva, her vocal presence is immediately felt. I want to draw some comparisons to Angela Gassau, but honestly, I like her performance better just because Angela usually had a ton of effects in her voice.
Yes.
And that kind of drove me nuts, but she was always good. She had the stage presence. Diva, from the videos I've seen, has that, but her vocals are less processed. And my
It's still
God.
very dynamic.
Oh, God.
All over the place.
She's got great highs, great lows. Like, she gets down low and growls. And granted, again, this opening track is more of a thrash metal track. When you get into Guided by Evil and People of the Abyss, this is where the death metal side really starts coming out.
Like, even the beginning of Guided by Evil has a very, like, Slayer, Sabbath-esque type riff feel to it. But, man, they don't stay at that pace for long. It's got the pace of thrash music, but death metal.
Yeah, the riffs, there's blast beats. I want to even say I heard some riffs that screamed Death's Leprosy. And, well, that's a damn near perfect album in my mind, and if you're going to emulate some old school death metal, that's an album to emulate.
Or People of the Abyss, that song. Death metal explosion with Blasty McBlasterson.
And, like, groove, like death metal groove, like it has that sort of obituary groove to it. But when they bring in that, faster section, they kind of hark back to, Brazilian death metal and thrash metal. So I was thinking of bands, of course, like early Sepultura, Sarcophago, Chrysian. It's somewhere in between there. They found this happy space.
In fact, their drummer sounds a lot like Eloy from Sepultura.
Her accents in her blast beats, especially because Eloy doesn't do like traditional blasts. Really, he always has something he peppers in there. Very much the same thing here. One of the things that I loved about this album was the variance in tracks in terms of like, you have your solid thrash metal tracks, you have your more death metal tracks, you have the ones that meet up, and then you have these kind of punky fun tracks that are in there too. Time to Fight, what a ripper. DB Drive, I remember actually watching an interview with Prika, and she talked about her love of Kill 'Em All, and I hear it right away. Mixed in with some Toxic Holocaust.
Yep.
And this
And a little bit of Napalm Death.
This is the pit spinner. Like, you get the warning from, whether it's the frontman or the fucking guitarist, and like, yeah, sorry, shit's about to go down. Now, hopefully you're not in the middle of this.
In fact, once again, I'm just going to start doing this. Speaking of tours that would be cool to see, Nervosa, Napalm Death, and Toxic Holocaust.
Let's do it. But then on like the more thrashy side, you have Genocidal Command, which we have a wonderful immediate appearance from Schmear from Destruction. As soon as you hear that high-pitched, yeah, I can't do it. But it's him. And this song kind of takes on a nice thrashy feel, and it's just interesting how they work around this. Like, because the track before that, until the very end, is again more of a death metal song. And this was kind of the big reach. Like, when I heard they were experimenting more with death metal, I was like, okay, I wonder how they're going to incorporate this, because they really have kind of solidified their thrash sound. And this is kind of that early phase of death metal, like when you think about early stuff from, of course, Death, Possessed, early Sepultura. It's very raw, and the thrash root is still there to all the death metal spots, but it is unmistakably death metal. Like, this is a huge change, and I think it is honestly for the better. When it comes down to like the dynamics on here, there's a whole other set of dynamics that kind of come in with death metal. Like, there are the key melodies and harmonies that kind of just scream death metal. They don't have that sort of thrashy anger to it. They kind of are more evil and sinister. Kings of Domination. That song has such a bolt thrower groove to it. Like, that is one of the grooviest songs on here.
Dude, that intro riff and then into the riff, the chorus riff. The chorus riff is even nastier.
Hooks. Hooks. And when it comes down to the production, I like how kind of dry this is. They didn't double the guitars, really. It's just the single guitar, and it's awesome. This feels like this is what you're going to get live. The drums have a nice sound to them. The snare has a great snap to it. Vocals are nice out in front. Mia's bass is thunderous in the background. It's a little, kind of mixed back, but you can hear it. It's still prominent in every song. And I think the fact that they didn't double the guitars really kind of adds to that.
Yeah, me too. And then there's a song that is kind of, I wouldn't say so much death metal. It just sounds like straight Motorhead. Rebel Soul.
Yeah. Get a nice little appearance from Eric, a.k.a. Knudsen, from Flotsam and Jetsam, and vocal dynamics. Again, they had them on the one with Schmear, too, which I thought was really cool, but these are decidedly different.
Yeah, these are much different. Eric does clean vocals at times.
Gruff, clean, kind of speed metal vocals. And, of course, Diva's rough growls, and she's alternating between highs and lows, which she does great transitions there. I like this dynamic between the clean vocals and the harsh vocals on here. And, of course, the Motorhead energy. Motorhead rules, still. I love hearing that. The DB groove, it pretty much, again, begs to be moshed to. Now, I would say every moment on here, there's really no wasted space for intros or anything, except for the song Blood Eagle, which has an interesting intro. There's someone walking on something squishy and a piano.
Sounding like leaves, like wet leaves.
Wet leaves, maybe. Walking around a marsh, something like that. But this one, I think, is one of the most interesting songs because I think it's the slowest song. It's not super fast, except for these little pocketed moments of like just straight up death thrash. Like,
and they transition really well.
Oh yeah.
This band, the transitions are almost flawless, and the dynamic is so cool. In most every song, it's fast, and then there's really beefy chugs, and then it gets a little slower, but not slow enough to lose the pacing or the energy.
Yeah. No, there's no momentum lost on this album. There's some killer breakdowns in the song, and triplet chugs. Again, they're all over this album, and that's just one sure way to get my head moving. In terms of like any negatives on this, I was struggling to find anything that I didn't like. The only thing I could say is like solos, they're a little short, but they are tasteful. Sometimes they come in at odd spots, but it's not really a huge knock on it. Everything is pretty much like kind of refined down to what each song absolutely needs. And it's just ripping riffs, high energy, thrashy moments, straight up death metal moments. I really like
I'm gonna be honest, it's better than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, I like their first album.
I was prepared for something good, but like I was like, Jesus Christ.
Whenever a band toys with like changing their sound overall, and I mean, you've had a huge lineup overhaul.
Yeah, right. That too.
That's a huge thing to come back from too. But this is a hell of an album in terms of embracing a whole different dynamic and bringing a whole other element in their sound overall, and it just comes out as energetic as they always were, except with sort of a fresh take on everything. This band sounds re-energized.
And sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes a change of members in the band will re-energize them.
Yeah, I mean...
It doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes.
This album is absolutely whoop-ass. It appeals to both my thrash side and my death side, which are very close friends and communicate very often.
Right.
But yeah, I got all that on one album. So overall, I'm going to give this 4.5 stars. This is a flat-out banger. No energy lost. All the momentum in the world. Chuggy riffs, just death metal melodies, but thrash energy. I love death thrash. I love thrashy death metal.
Yep, me too.
It has all those hallmarks of that early era of, death metal when it was first forming, but it still sounds crushing and modern. And I don't know, I like just about everything about this.
Yep.
You rebounded from a huge lineup shift and embraced a new sound, and I don't see any hiccups at all along the way. So, yeah, this album whoops ass. Go get it.
Yes, to reiterate everything that he said. Yeah, I give it a 4.5 as well. This record is just badass from start to finish. It never lost my attention. There were so many times where I know I would just glance across the table and both of us would be like, oh my goodness. Again, I like death thrash too. I mean, in my opinion, you don't get a really heavy band has death thrash elements. It's slow, it's fast. You get blast beats, you get chugs, you get like the best of both worlds with death thrash. It's
wonderful.
Stuff I like about bands like Revocation, just
Vader,
destructive. Vader, yeah. The chugs are everywhere. It's riff city. They're well constructed songs. They could be a pinch longer, I think.
I don't think any song was over 4 minutes.
Yeah, and I agree. I really think the leads should have been a little bit longer. They don't appear in really odd spots a whole lot, but they're not long. At max, I think a solo was like 15 seconds, maybe a little less.
There were a couple of longer ones, but for the most part they were...
She's good at what she does. Like, I think you should solo more.
Yeah. But I mean, don't sacrifice riffs.
Yeah,
My God, you have a riff bank.
Very, very well done record. I much applause.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe because we do stuff like this all the time. We will catch you later.